This is Kentucky Afield Radio. This is Ron Rohde, Kentucky Afield's first host back in 1953. Now, I'm proud to present Charlie Bagley.
If you want to know how good something is, you read the reviews. And one annual event that gets consistent 5-star ratings is Eagle Weekend, sponsored by Kentucky State Parks. We go inside outdoors this week to talk to the organizers of the events, as well as people who came, cameras in hand, from up to 5 hours away. Excursions to the wilderness to see our national symbol, the American bald eagle. Take a listen. See if it gets a big thumbs up from you. Next on Kentucky Afield Radio.
Getting back to nature? Remember those already there. This holiday season, buy and print the Kentucky Fish and Wildlife gift certificate right from your PC for anyone on your list who has outdoor adventure on theirs. Online at fw.ky.gov.
Here's a Christmas list that's not really so hard. In fact, you can do it on the road in your car. First, that old standby. Buckle up tight. That'll save you most quickly on a cold winter's night. Another big do is do some thinking. Drive if you're singing, but not if you're drinking. There's no gift like joy. We should all be so lucky. And it's yours, just as sure as you drive wise, Kentucky. A holiday wish for safe travels from your Kentucky office of Highway Safety.
Honey, what'd you get your brother?
The Fish and Wildlife gift certificate.
Fishing for ideas, hunting for gifts? Give the Kentucky Fish and Wildlife gift certificate for the person on your list with the great outdoors on theirs. Online at fw.ky.gov. This is Charlie Baglin on Kentucky Afield Radio, and since the 1970s, Kentucky State Parks have held an event called Eagle Weekends. That stunning black raptor with the white head and the white tail and a yellow beak. And where they are shorelines of our large rivers, Kentucky Lake, Barkley Lake, and when they are there is actually in winter. You see these birds in their natural habitat, and it really is a trip that anybody will remember. We'll talk this hour with Lisa Devers from the Kentucky Department of Parks and biologist Jeff Roberts with the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife, partner agency with the event, as well as many happy, excited visitors from a recent trip to Ken Lake to see our national symbol in flight. Sir, where are you from?
Louisville, Kentucky.
How many years have you been coming down?
7 years.
Do you notice that over the years you'll be seeing more eagles or less, about the same? What do you think?
More, definitely more. I think the last 2 years ago we came down here, if I'm not mistaken, we seen maybe 42 eagles. That was a good day.
Now, you're the rookie?
We're the rookies.
Where are y'all from?
Right across the river from Cincinnati.
How did you get talked into such an excursion?
We actually tried to do it last year, and everything was booked. So I surprised her. Her birthday was in November, and I surprised her and told her we were going to do the Eagle Weekend.
I've never seen so many happy people this early in the morning on a cold winter's day out on a boat. Jeff, Lisa, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, me too, Charlie. Thanks for having us.
Hard to believe a year has passed since the last time we three have talked, but Eagle Weekends are coming up. When are they?
We do have 3 weekends in January and then one the first weekend of February.
Where are they and when?
Okay, for this winter in 2016, we will start our eagle watching season at Kentucky Dam Village State Resort Park the weekend of January 8th through 10th. And what we do on that Friday evening, our naturalist staff and then a staff person from Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources will give an introductory on the eagles. And this is the same at every park for Friday evening. Then our tours are actually on Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon on the 9th, and then on the morning of the 10th at Kentucky Dam Village. Then our next weekend takes us to Lake Barkley State Resort Park, January 23rd and 24th. This year also we're going to be offering a brunch cruise on Saturday, January 30th. That will be from Ken Lake State Resort Park. And then the weekends conclude at Ken Lake State Resort Park on February 6th and 7th, with that evening program being on February 5th.
2 at Ken Lake.
Yes, and actually the Lake Barkley trip even leaves from Ken Lake Marina.
What is an Eagles Weekend?
Well, what they're going to do on this Eagle Weekend, they're going to be able to view the numerous eagles in the wild, either from a boat or from a van tour that takes them either to land between the lakes or to the Ballard Wildlife Management Area. And in addition to eagles, they also get to see other wildlife in western Kentucky.
I've heard people say, wish the eagles could be here in summer. And you know what? They are. They're just not here as numerously. Numerously a word?
I think we can use it as
I think
we'll use numerously.
It is now.
As plentifully. But winter, what's magic about winter and bald eagles?
Well, what's happening in the wintertime is that in addition to our non-migratory, or what we might call resident eagles that are already here and that are here year-round, including in the summertime, like you mentioned, is that migratory eagles from up north, from the Great Lakes region, congregate in huge numbers in the wintertime. The reason that they do that is because their winters up north are far harsher than our winters. A lot of the waterways where they are hunting, because bald eagles mostly eat fish, and they also will prey on waterfowl, which are also going to be found near the water. So as resources become scarce and as waterways begin to freeze over up north, you get large congregations of migratory bald eagles that hang out primarily in the western region of the state because of the suitable habitat. So that's why doing them in the wintertime is ideal. But also, you have to think, too, that there's no leaves on the trees. If there were leaves on the trees in the summertime, that in and of itself would prevent us from seeing a lot of the eagles. But because there's no leaves, that gives us a great chance to spot these eagles.
So you have the wintering eagle. So what you would want, a reason to, in retrospect, like polar vortex, right?
Yes.
Did that come into play much last year, Lisa?
I mean, just the cold weather, but actually we did see a large number of eagles, more than we did the previous year.
Yeah, we did, and coming from somebody who's done them the last, I guess, 4 or maybe even 5 years at this point,
right.
We saw a lot of eagles last year, and what I always try to tell people is that cold and clear is what you want. It might be a little bit uncomfortable to us, but to those eagles, it's not uncomfortable. And so, and I can tell you that it's pretty warm on that yacht, and so that's the cold weather is no reason to want to try to skip out on an eagle weekend. Cold and clear is actually what you want.
You may think that bald eagles are hiding somewhere in the woods, but they're not. They're out along the shorelines, up in these gnarly tree limbs where all the leaves have fallen, and they're fishing. They're sitting there looking. And so they couldn't be in a better place. But they'll get right there close along the shoreline, and with even a halfway decent pair of binoculars, it's amazing what you'll see.
Sure. And we have, I know last year, and I'm wanting to say the previous year that I was there, we've actually seen the eagles actually catch fish. So it's not like you're looking at a bunch of cold animals that are sluggish and are preparing to hibernate, like you might imagine many mammals might look in the wintertime. These are active birds that you're going to get a chance to see a lot of them in flight. Sometimes you even see them doing their courtship behavior, courtship rituals from the boat. So you get to see a lot of neat stuff with these eagle tours. And
a variety of ages of eagles too. You'll have the full bald white head to what you biologists call immature. What do they look like?
Well, for the first about 4 years of a bald eagle's life, they don't have the trademark solid white head and the solid white tail like most people would imagine a bald eagle to look like when they think about a bald eagle. They're very dark, but they do have some mottled white and kind of creamy colored mottled in with them for the first 4 years or so, and they kind of go through somewhat predictable phases throughout the years that I won't really go into. But it is important to note that many people could be seeing immature bald eagles out on their own and not realize what they're looking at because they're looking for the white head and the white tail.
How many do you see normally on a given trip or over a given winter?
The ones I was involved with, let me say this first of all, I did 2 weekends last year, and on the ones I was involved with, we saw 190 eagles. But all of the trips combined from last year saw over 600 eagles.
We're on the boat getting ready to go out. You're laughing, ma'am. You sound like you're going to have a good time.
I'm going to have a great time.
Where are you from?
Oh, I'm from Lexington, Kentucky.
Have you been on an Eagles weekend before?
No, never.
What made you come on this one?
I love eagles, and my new husband and I are having a pre-honeymoon.
Pre-honeymoon, all right. I'm guessing you're another first-timer. What's your name?
Ned Price.
Where are you from, Ned?
Grafenberg, Kentucky.
Have you ever seen an eagle before in the wild?
Yes, I have. My first time was Reelfoot Lake back in the early 80s.
I heard you talking to a friend of yours a little while ago. You also saw them in Alaska.
Yes, I have. This last summer, took a cruise. Probably saw 8 to 10.
That sounds like a great time. I hope you have a great time here.
Oh, thank you. I'm sure I will.
We're talking about Eagles weekends coming up in January and early February, and we'll have more in a sec. I'm Charlie Baglin, and you are listening to Kentucky Afield Radio. Back on Kentucky Afield Radio, my name is Charlie Baglin, and wildlife is a draw for Kentucky tourism in a great way. In addition to people coming to our state to fish and to hunt, they travel to see elk viewing tours in eastern Kentucky, wildflower weekends at Natural Bridge. Another biggie is what we're discussing here in this hour, Eagle Weekends. There are 3. They're put on by the Department of Parks with a little help from the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife. They're held in January when the greatest number of eagles are in our state as they have migrated south, and they congregate on the shores of major rivers such as the Mississippi and the Ohio, also along Kentucky Lake, Barkley, and a few other spots here and there. And they attract the nature lover in all of us. Looks like a nice camera you brought with you, sir. What kind do you have?
It's a Nikon X60. We were in the Alaska cruise. A friend of mine had a camera just like it. Excellent shots. Excellent shots.
You go on all of these?
Yes, I do. As a naturalist, I was in charge of the Kentucky Dam Village tour, but I'm here as a spotter and as assistant to Nick on this tour.
How many have you personally spotted today?
Over 20. I haven't been counting them. People come from all over the state for this experience, and they get to enjoy western Kentucky and all of its glory. And these lakes here, the migratory birds that are here, it draws them in, and I just love it.
Tell me what all we have seen this morning, bird-wise.
A variety of things. I've seen a bubblehead grebe, red-tailed hawk. There was a deer in the distance. I don't know if we saw that one. And like you said, 41 bald eagles.
Blue herons, red-tailed hawk, gulls. Are there storks? Are there pelicans on this water?
Yes, there sure are, in rather large numbers right now. But this is about their northernmost range. They don't make it up to KDV very often, the Kentucky Dam Village. Are
you guaranteed to see an eagle? Sounds like yes.
Well, we never guarantee because it is nature. But your probabilities on these trips are extremely high. And the only guarantee that you will see one will be on Saturday evening with the Live Birds of Prey program.
That's true. There's a Live Birds of Prey program. Tell me a bit about that.
On Saturday evening, following your trip, and this is included with your registration, has either a raptor rehab center that comes in. We use Nature Liberty Center, SOAR, and then Raptor Rehab in Louisville. And each park has a different group, and they bring in various raptors, whether it's an owl, a hawk, and then those also include a bald eagle. So they will talk to you about those birds, what their characteristics are, how they ended up with it, and then you will get to see them up close.
So right up close, you're as far away from them as, 2 or 3 feet?
A couple of the groups will let you get that close. It just depends, with the bird. But, yes, you can get your photo with some of them, but you can get really close to them.
Kentucky's Eagle Weekends is the topic at Kentucky State Parks in western Kentucky. At Kentucky Dam Village, land between the lakes area is included in all this. Lake Barkley and Ken Lake State Resort Park. Is there one better than another? They all basically, you go to the same place, you just launch out of different parks.
Now when we're at Kentucky Dam Village, it actually does take a little bit of a different route because you're coming from the north end of the lake. With the Lake Barkley and the Ken Lake, you're taking the same route when you're on the water. The Ballard trip, each trip goes on the same route each day, same with the land between the lakes. So the only difference is that Kentucky Dam
you're still on the same body of water. You're just coming from the north end of it as opposed to the south end.
You were talking about going out in a van or going out in what Jeff called a yacht. I like the idea of a yacht between you and me. And you know what? I've done these, so it's not like I'm just sitting here daydreaming. I've probably done a half a dozen of these in my tenure with doing this radio program at Kentucky Afield TV. And I like the yacht. However, going out on a van tour gets you out there in the middle of land between the lakes, and you're places where you're not going to see a lot of traffic. I mean, that's sort of wildernessy.
That is, and it's true, and they are two different feels. Like you said, the yacht is a 96-foot yacht, as Jeff mentioned earlier. You know, don't let the weather hold you back because it is temperature controlled. You do have the opportunity to step outside, if you like, either on the bow of the boat or on the stern. There are some viewing platforms if you're a photographer, so you can get outside. But if you want to stay in where it's toasty warm and drink hot chocolate, you can do that. We have staff on the boat that's spotting birds that will let you know where they are and will give you information about them. And as Jeff said, you know, sometimes we have seen them catch a fish or on the shoreline eating carrion or doing some of their mating rituals. So that interpreter on the microphone, which a lot of times it is Jeff, will highlight those things and tell you what is taking place as the visitor. The van trip, yes, you are out in the element. So you're going to bundle up a little bit more to go on those van trips in layers because it's going to be warm in the van. Then you're going to get out and they'll set up spotting scopes and you can bring your binoculars and you will look while you're out in the element.
How long are each trip?
The boat trips are on average 3 hours. The van trips are going to run 3 to 4 hours. So, and with the van trips, if you're land between the lakes, you're going to be going to one location, getting out, viewing what is there, getting back in, going to another location, seeing what is there. With the Ballard trip, we do take vans over to the Ballard Wildlife Management Area. Then we load into their bus. They have a school bus, and they drive us through Ballard Wildlife Management Area. Not only do we see the eagles, if you're lucky, you'll be able to see the thousands of snow geese that are there and all the different migratory waterfowl that come through, and it's just gorgeous.
If you're a waterfowl hunter or if you live in western Kentucky, you know about Ballard County and Ballard Wildlife Refuge. If you're not, you need to realize that this is a little bit of a drive from Kentucky Dam Village. What is it, maybe an hour or so? And so you get there, and it's part of the Department of Fish and Wildlife area, but that's 8,000 acres of wilderness area along the Mississippi River, and you will see what kind of wildlife there.
No, the snow geese and the mallards and, you know, a large variety of the ducks and the eagles. But another thing, too, we are very fortunate, before Jeff talks about what we see, that this field trip goes into the Ballard Wildlife Management Area, because this is the one time that you can go in with parks, the only time of year you can go in with parks into the Ballard Wildlife Management Area for wildlife viewing.
Well, and like Lisa said, you're going to see countless species, of the majority of which is going to be migratory waterfowl. You're going to see geese. You're going to see any number of duck species, and not only see them, but see them by the thousands, literally. And so it is a real treat to be able to get into Ballard and take a look around that time of year.
Sounds like if you're going to go on an Eagle Watch weekend, that you need to take a camera or at least a pair of binoculars, and a camera if you've got it. What kind of camera equipment should you take? Just anything? Could your cell phone camera do the job, or do you need one of those high-dollar models? You know,
that kind of depends on the outcome that you're hoping for. But I've taken pictures from the yacht tour with just my iPhone and gotten decent-looking pictures. Not in all cases, but in many cases, if an eagle stays perched in a tree and you go right by it, you're pretty close to that eagle. We have I mean, I'm sure Lisa would agree. We probably have everything ranging from people taking pictures with phones all the way up to, $10,000 cameras people are using with telephoto lenses and that sort of thing. But I wouldn't say that if you feel like you don't have a high-dollar camera, do not let that deter you from coming on one of these weekends.
Lisa and Jeff, we'll get back to the conversation in a minute. First, let's talk to Martin Stivers. Martin, where are you from?
Louisville.
So you've been coming down here for how long?
Since 70.
1970? How many did you see? Can you remember? Grand total of 1 eagle. How have Eagle weekends changed over the years?
Well, they didn't have the boat trip, and that's great for older people.
So before, you would need to go out through the land between the lakes?
With the buses, and then we'd walk in. They didn't take the buses anywhere close to where the eagles were. We had to walk about a half a mile to the water again.
If you only saw one back in 1970, when you actually started doing the boats, how many were you up to, you think, just by going into LBL and taking a look?
We saw, I think, about 15 the first time we was on a boat.
And now, today, I think
40-something.
40 or so.
Yeah.
What keeps you coming back?
Just the beauty of them. They're a beautiful bird.
Well, anyway, are you going to keep coming back?
As long as I can.
That's an Eagles fan. Philadelphia. Morehead State University would like to have Eagle fans like Martin Stivers. More on Eagle Weekends just ahead. I'm Charlie Baglin. You're listening to Kentucky Afield Radio. This is Charlie Baglin on Kentucky Afield Radio. We have always said if you would like to hear this show again, or if there's an older show you'd like to dig out of the archives and share on Facebook or revisit, it's easy to do. 3 places you can go. The first is myhuntingandfishing.com. myhuntingandfishing.com. Also find us on iTunes. Just put Kentucky Afield Radio in the search box. And on our YouTube channel, again, just Kentucky Afield Radio in the search box will bring us up. More on Eagle Weekends in this half hour. First up, our fishing report.
This is Jeff Crosby with the Central District Fishing Report. Water temperatures at Taylorsville and Harrington are running in the mid to upper 50s, while the smaller lakes such as Elmer Davis, Beaver, Corinth, or Bolts Lakes are running in the lower 50s. Largemouth bass fishing is good at many of these Central District lakes. It's a great time of year to cast jerkbaits and crankbaits to catch a few largemouth. Concentrate on main lake points as well as secondary points and creek arms. Fishing pockets along the shoreline can also produce a few fish this time of year. Additionally, football jigs and creature baits can produce a few fish while fishing these same areas. Crappie are still being caught at many of our area lakes, such as Harrington, Beaver, Elmer Davis, Bolts, and especially Taylorsville lakes. So grab a pole and enjoy some great early winter fishing. Remember to dress appropriately when fishing in colder weather and always wear your life jacket.
In western Kentucky, we've got Kentucky and Barkley Lakes, and looking at still some fairly good fall fishing as the weather has stayed fairly mild for December. If I'm thinking crappie right now, on those kind of sunshiny days, I may be casting the bank with a little curly-tailed or an inline spinner-type jig, looking for those black crappie, and probably going to catch my fair share of yellow bass. There's a lot of white crappie out there right now, and they're really small. Hearing a lot of people catching small fish, but there's still big ones in there to be caught. You just got to weed through a lot of small fish, but that's good for future fishing. Bass fishing, still main lake points, secondary points. Those secondary points is just as you come in the embayments or those first couple of points near the mouths. I'm going to think about throwing a suspended jerkbait, and if the sun's warm, I might go a little bit shallower with a white spinner bait. Well, this is Paul Reister. I hope you find a good day to go fishing.
Hi, this is Eric Cummins with your Southwest Kentucky Fishing Report. Barren River Lake water levels are approaching the winter pool level. Temperatures are in the low to mid-50s. Bass bite has been fairly good on spinner baits, jerk baits, and jigs, especially on those sun-drenched rocky banks, and still up fairly shallow. Also, some fish are still being taken deeper out in 10 to 15 foot of water. Crappie also have been fairly good on main channel structure. Barren River tailwater bite has been good for crappie, catfish, and hybrids fishing the current breaks. At Green River Lake, the lake is at winter pool. Muskie bite has been fair on jerkbaits, swim baits, and spinners, fishing near submerged brush and stake beds. As always, good luck and good fishing, and be sure your life jacket's got your back.
Christmas means deer season in more ways than one. Have the Jolly Reindeer drop off the Kentucky Fish and Wildlife gift certificate, perfect for anyone on your list who has hunting on theirs. Find it at fw.ky.gov.
'Tis the season of lights, red lights, green lights. Just make sure your holidays don't also include blue lights. You may already be a safe driver, but who knows about that car next to you, that truck, or that sleigh? Hey, even Santa uses a red light on that deer up front. So shine a light on safety and light up someone's life by arriving on time and in good cheer. A holiday wish for safe travels from your Kentucky Office of Highway Safety. We're back on Kentucky Afield Radio. My name is Charlie Baglin. For the rest of the hour, we are talking about Eagle Weekends. They are put on by Kentucky State Parks. What's your name?
Captain Paul Master.
What's the name of your ship here?
It is the CQ Princess, the Captain's Quarters Princess. We're usually moored at Captain's Quarters Restaurant in Louisville, Kentucky. This is our 8th season coming down for the Eagle Tours. Look forward to it every year. So it's the only month that we're away from Louisville. We're down here for the month of January, first weekend in February.
Does it ever get old?
No, it doesn't. You know, I was a bit, I guess you'd say, skeptical when I first came down for the first year, whether I would like it or enjoy it, and I really, really look forward to it. I've done every Eagle cruise that we've done down here on the lake, and look forward to it every year and really enjoy seeing the Eagles.
Is there another type of cruise that you do that's nearly as fun for everybody aboard?
This is pretty unique. Back in Louisville, all we do is private charters. We have a couple public cruises, Easter, Thanksgiving, Mother's Day, but never any wildlife viewing cruises. So this is much more exciting for families to attend, and anybody interested in nature, and something great to do in the middle of winter that you wouldn't normally think about. But the boat's nice and comfortable, and big windows, great way to see wildlife and the eagles.
Lisa Devers from State Parks, along with Jeff Roberts, who is a biologist with the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife. We're in the studio, and you need to bring some things.
As far as binoculars go, I encourage people, if you have a pair that you like, that you're comfortable with, to bring those. But also know that we do have some loaner binoculars that we can lend out to people that either forget to bring theirs or they just don't own a pair.
Lisa, how many people can you have on a given weekend to sign up at a park?
Well, our maximum on each of the boat trips is 70. And that's because we want to make sure that everybody is comfortable, has a seat, and then we have our interpretive staff on there. There will be a Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife interpretive staff person and a park staff person on each level of the boat. This is a 2-level yacht. And then we'll have the person on the microphone. So for each of those boat trips, it's limited to 70. The Ballard trip, which we run on Saturday and Sunday, is limited to 20. And then the van trips at Land Between the Lakes, we take it by van, so it's usually 20 to 30 because we have 10-person vans that we put people on.
Is it safe to assume then if a park gets reservations from 125 people that it's going to be filled, or is there a way to accommodate more?
It's really difficult for us to go beyond that level. If you call today and you want Saturday morning and that 70 is booked, then they will refer you to the Saturday afternoon or the Sunday trip to see if one of those will fit your schedule.
Do these happen rain or shine or snow?
Yes, they happen rain or shine or snow. Now, sometimes depending if, and we talked about Kentucky Dam coming out of the northern part of the lake and out of this marina. That is a shallow area, and we have had years in the past where if it was a really cold winter and the lake froze in that area, that the boat actually had to launch from Ken Lake. But the boat did go on its trip. We have in the past, if road conditions do not warrant a safe trip, had to cancel van trips. but we keep safety of guests and our employees in mind when making that decision.
You want to stay warm.
Right, and you do want to dress in layers, and like we've referenced before, the yacht, the temperature is probably 72 degrees on the yacht, if not warmer, once you get those people in there. So, you can dress just like you're at home watching TV. If you want to step outside, of course, you're going to want your gloves and your hat and your scarf, depending on those conditions. And
if it's 35 degrees outside air temperature and you're out in the middle of the lake and there's a breeze, it's cold.
Yeah, it's just like Lisa said, dress in layers. You can't go wrong doing that. If you get a little bit warm, you can peel some layers off, but you definitely don't want to be at one of these things unprepared and underdressed, because that's going to take away from your enjoyment.
Lisa, how long have you been doing this?
Well, I have been doing Eagle Watch weekends for 10 years. I started at Dale Hollow, but I've been doing the ones in western Kentucky. This will be my 6th year.
Do they change year to year to year? Or, because I bring it up because I know bald eagles are no longer a threatened and endangered species. That tells me that the population has reestablished itself. And so I'm wondering, do you see more eagles year to year to year, or is that all weather dependent?
Again, as Jeff mentioned, it's all weather dependent on what it's doing up north. If it's warmer up north, we may see less numbers because they have their food source up there and they're not forced down to here.
It sounds like you both look forward to this. In fact, chances are you would do it even if you volunteered. Jeff, what is it about Eagles weekends you look forward to most?
I've always, I would always have considered myself to be a bird nerd, if you will. I've always enjoyed the outdoors and wildlife in general, specifically birds. And so just the opportunity to get out in an area so as beautiful as the western part of our state and the land between the lakes area, and to see these eagles up close and in such great numbers, what's not to like about that? It's awesome. If I had never worked for parks or for Fish and Wildlife, this would be something I would probably try to go to every year just as a guest. It's just an amazing opportunity.
What kind of expressions are you seeing on people's faces that maybe you had a little something to do with that?
It's always neat when you get to help somebody experience something, especially if it's something new. And I'm sure Lisa can attest. There are seasoned birders that come on the Eagle tours, but there's also people that come on there that have never seen an eagle in the wild, and sometimes they get they're moved to emotion. I think that we've had some guests, if I'm not mistaken, cry before at the first sight of a wild eagle. And so that's just the emotional part of it. It's just really that's a part of the job that's really rewarding, to help people to see something that might be, you never know, it could be on their bucket list to see a wild eagle. It's fun stuff.
Lisa, comment, what's in it for you personally?
When I started with Kentucky State Parks 10 years ago, I realized I had one of the most awesome jobs that you could have. I get to do things like Eagle weekends or any of our nature-related activities. As Jeff said, I would be going on these trips even if I did not work for state parks. But bringing a guest to a park, whether it's for their first time or their 50th time, and seeing them make that connection between nature and learning everything that there is to learn about our natural world, you can't beat that feeling. I mean, that reminds you every day why you love what you do.
And just the level of excitement, too. Every year, it never fails. We will not have even left the harbor yet, and we typically will spot an eagle, and just the amount of excitement that you can just see and feel in the boat. Everybody grabs their binoculars and rushes to the windows to try to see it, and many of those people, maybe they've never seen one. Many of them have probably seen a wild eagle 100 times in their lifetime, but just that level of excitement it's just really neat to be a part of that.
Some people feel like they have to go to the great Northwest, or they have to go to Alaska if they want to see an eagle, if they want to see a sight that we're describing here. And it's not true at all. It's right here in Kentucky, and especially in the wintertime. If you are a visitor much to central Kentucky, the Hill region, Bluegrass area, or eastern Kentucky, where we have all the beautiful mountains and Natural Bridge and Cumberland Falls and It goes on and on. People may say, well, Western Kentucky, there's nothing there. It's just flat. It's just farmland. They got those big lakes. But, what else? Well, if you haven't been, don't let yourself sell that short. Because I have been, and I always look forward to going back and spending time in Western Kentucky. And I'm hearing you talk about thousands of snow geese, thousands of Canada geese, 600 bald eagles, lakes. It's beautiful there. There are wetlands areas that you will swear that you are in Louisiana. It is really a landscape to behold.
Well, just like you said, Charlie, if you haven't experienced that part of the state, you owe it to yourself to do so. It's very beautiful, and there's just so many opportunities for wildlife watching and the great outdoors and just outdoor recreation in general. And what better opportunity than what we're here talking about today with our Eagle Watch weekends?
Well, you get a lot of return visitors, don't you?
Yes, we do. And then we get, such as him, people that have been before bringing their children back or bringing their grandchildren back. And, they start making it a family tradition to do that every winter. But we do get a lot of repeat. And, and each year, too, it amazes me the number of new guests and visitors that we get that want to experience this. And how a couple of years later, you still have them coming back each year. So, you were asking earlier, is it the same all the time? No, it's not, and that's what keeps them coming back. Because, yes, they are seeing eagles, but each trip is completely different. As Jeff was talking about weather and interaction of the eagles sometimes you may see them all perched. Sometimes you may see them interacting. And this past year, and Jeff, I think we were on that same trip, we had a lot of interaction from some juveniles and got to watch that as they were flying and locking talons. And so it just made for a really exciting trip.
It definitely did.
We're talking about Eagle Weekends. Let's go back to the boat.
Hunter Hopkins.
Where are you from, Hunter?
I'm from the Nicholas County.
Nicholas County. This is the first time coming down to see eagles?
No, it's the second year.
Second year?
Second year.
So did you see more the first year, or how does it compare year to year?
It's actually been more this year.
How many do you think you're going to see? Do you have a goal?
Not really. I just want to see a bunch.
I want to see 50. I'd like to see 70.
That'd be awesome.
Who'd you bring with you?
My aunt and my papa and my granny.
What grade are you in?
I'm in 8th grade.
What are you going to tell your friends when you get back?
I'm going to tell them I saw a bunch of eagles.
Fans love it. You will too. You can find more online at parks.ky.gov. We'll be back with our final few with Lisa and Jeff. Stay with us. This is Kentucky Afield Radio. We are back on Kentucky Afield Radio. This is Charlie Baglin. Our final few minutes on the topic of seeing bald eagles in their wild natural habitat in Kentucky this winter. You get on board this yacht, the CQ Princess. It's out of Louisville. CQ stands for Captain's Quarters. Maybe you've heard of it. I took Pam a couple of years ago. She still brags about it. I scored a point by taking her on this trip. Lisa Devers with Kentucky State Parks. These trips basically are for anybody, but elaborate on that.
The trips are designed for all ages. However, participants should be aware that the van tours can last for 3 to 4 hours, depending on which trip they're taking. The trip to Ballard Wildlife Management Area that leaves out of Kentucky Dam Village, you're going to be on a bus probably for about 5 to 6 hours during that day by the time you make the trip to Ballard, see all the eagles, and then make your trip back. So you're probably looking at about a 5-hour trip. If you're doing the van trips from Lake Barkley, which go into Land Between the Lakes, you're probably looking at about a 3 to 3.5 hour van tour. Now, those tours are going to have you riding in vans, and then you're going to be getting out at different locations to spot eagles. So you just need to take that into consideration and take your comfort level into consideration if choosing to do one of those trips.
So you need to keep that in mind for kids who may not be inclined to sit still for 4 hours, as I know I wouldn't have done if I was a little kid on one of these.
Absolutely, and I have a difficult time doing that as well.
Yeah.
And so that is something that just needs to be taken into consideration when planning your trip. But as far as the activities themselves and the eagle viewing, it is designed for all ages.
So let's think handicapped accessibility, Lisa. Is that a go, at least for the boat?
The boat itself is actually ADA accessible for wheelchairs, and we do make accommodations for those that are hearing impaired on any of our trips, and we try to do our best to meet any guest needs. But the boat itself is ADA accessible for wheelchair guests.
Are these more expensive or cheaper than people may think?
Well, I think they're reasonably priced. They're probably less expensive than what some people think based on what you're getting. Your boat tour, which is a 3-hour tour on a luxury yacht. This is a 96-foot luxury yacht. They're inside heated, comfortable seating, 2 levels. They can choose to go inside or outside. Our captain of the boat has added a camera that allows you to, if you don't want to go outside or you can't get a good sighting of the eagle from your seat, actually we have the capability to televise it on TVs on the boat.
Nice. These are offered, of course, by the Department of Parks. But are you obligated, if you buy into one of their packages, to stay at the resort?
We do encourage people to stay at our state parks because we have some beautiful parks, and we have Kentucky Dam Village, Lake Barkley, Ken Lake. However, the price of the ticket does not include the lodging, so if you want to make a day trip and drive in with the family, absolutely we encourage you to do that.
Can you give these as a gift?
Yes, you can buy a gift card, or you can go into the park or call the park and give your credit card and register someone for that event, and then they will send you a letter to give as a gift.
Where can I find more information on the Internet?
You can find it on the park's website at www.parks.ky.gov, and we're working on our special Eagle tab that will be on there, and they will just check on that for the Nature Watch weekends, because besides the Eagle weekends, we also do sandhill cranes and elk tours during the wintertime.
That's right.
And you can go in there and find that information. There will be a registration form that you'll be able to download. So if you want to purchase it for a gift and you don't want to contact the park, you can download that registration form and send in the registration fee to the address on the brochure.
Tell me again all of the Eagle Watch weekends that are available for this winter.
Okay, for this winter in 2016, we will start our eagle watching season at Kentucky Dam Village State Resort Park the weekend of January 8th through 10th. Now, the 8th is on a Friday, and what we do on that Friday evening, our naturalist staff and then a staff person from Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources will give an introductory on the eagles, and this is the same at every park for Friday evening. Then our tours are actually on Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon on the 9th, and then on the morning of the 10th at Kentucky Dam Village. Then our next weekend takes us to Lake Barkley State Resort Park, which again will start on that evening program on January 22nd. And then the boat tours, and they offer van tours to Land Between the Lakes, which will be January 23rd and 24th. This year also, we're going to be offering a brunch cruise on Saturday, January 30th. That will be from Ken Lake State Resort Park. And then the weekends conclude at Ken Lake State Resort Park on February 6th and 7th, with that evening program being on February 5th.
How quickly do these fill up?
Actually, they fill up fairly quickly. I would not wait long to purchase a ticket because they are very popular, and it seems over the past couple of years they've even grown more popular.
Anything special for the educational?
Actually, yes. We are going to be offering on Friday, January 29th, a special field trip cruise for students that will be taking place out of Ken Lake State Resort Park. And the morning session we do for our public schools, private schools, traditional schools, and then in the afternoon we have a trip for homeschoolers. And this trip, a little shorter in time, it's a 2-hour cruise instead of a 3-hour cruise, but but all the programming that we do on the cruise for the school groups does meet the Kentucky academic standards.
So the Kentucky Common Core standards are all met. That ought to help a teacher to sell it to her principal to get an okay to go.
Absolutely, and we're working, with the next generation science standards. So we think this is a unique opportunity for students to learn about multiple things on the boat. Not only will they be learning about eagles and raptors, but there's also the opportunity for them to learn different things about water, about erosion, wildlife, mammals. There's so much that this trip offers for students.
Lisa, it sounds like a world of fun. We hope to see you there again this winter.
I'm planning on being at all three.
Parks.ky.gov is the web address to find out more. We're out of time. This is Charlie Baglin, inviting you to join us in a week, and we will go inside outdoors again here on Kentucky Afield Radio.